up, how way, ay, 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 ay. How way up, ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. How way, ay, 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 ay. How way, ay, 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 ay.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the bridge. Hi, Debbie. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Welcome to the bridge. I've been telling everybody about your long time work in changing the insane cannabis laws in America. Probably 30 years, right?
It's been almost 30 years. Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of a echo on your side. So if you're listening to the show, try to sort that out before we get really into it. All right, that sounds better. That sounds better.
Okay. I still hear a little echo. I don't know if it's me or you.
Yeah, I hear it too. I think it is you. Is that better?
Yeah, no echo.
All right, great. I am, as usual, in my vehicle, hooked up to a hotspot, doing a radio show because I live out in the woods.
Nice.
And we don't get good internet there, so got to do the hotspot thing. And today I'm on the road. I'm up in Pennsylvania. I'm on my mom's farm, digging up plant babies, all kinds of things to bring back to our little patch in Virginia. So plants are sacred, and I've always experienced cannabis as having a sacred quality to it, definitely a very powerful medicine. So those of us who have been working very hard to get real and true information about cannabis out there have a long road behind us and in front of us, but you guys are way ahead of people out there in California than back on the East Coast where I'm at. So, I mean, I saw on your timeline that you're selling cannabis at a farmer's market.
That's right. We have a farmer's market happening on 420 where the producers are coming down to Oakland. We're going to be setting up 20 booths, a variety of different marijuana producers, cultivators, people making concentrates, people doing vape pens, edibles producers. And we've also got the East Bay's only permit for on-site cannabis consumption. So inside the dispensary, we're having taste testing. We're doing vaporizer samples. Going to be an incredible day.
Wow. And is that, do you still have to have a medical card now, or what is the situation legally out there for people?
Yeah, well, to come to a dispensary, you have to have a medical card because the state hasn't implemented the adult use laws yet for the retail part of the laws, but you're allowed to possess and use cannabis if you're an adult over 21. You just can't buy it at a dispensary at this point. So dispensaries are still medical only, and adult users get their cannabis either by growing it themselves or through some kind of a, still an underground exchange from friend to friend.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. So safe access is still an issue, not only for people with medical needs, but people who would rather consume cannabis as a form of relaxation or whatever, recreation, than other types of more dangerous drugs that are out there legally available.
It's very true. And even in California, where it's legal statewide, most of our counties and cities have banned cannabis. So the way that the laws work for adult use and for medical marijuana, it's that the cities and the counties get to decide how implementation rolls out locally. So most of them just said no retail locations and no cannabis cultivation. People are still allowed to grow 6 plants at home, but in many cities and counties, there's nothing else that can be done. You can't go to a dispensary. You can't find a cultivator who can supply you with cannabis. You're just supposed to grow your own or quietly secure it, still, again, underground.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And then you still, under a Trump regime, federal raids could possibly be back on the table as well for medical.
I saw Sessions being so surprised that there was so much support for medical marijuana. I don't know his quote exactly that came out. I saw it around yesterday, saying you would think that the number one issue in America is medical marijuana. Yeah, well, I feel like that, with the fact that we're still arresting 800,000 plus people a year, and the feds still have a large number of people that they arrest just for simple possession and put in prison every year. It's a really big deal to those of us that use cannabis for medicine, and those of us who are social justice activists who just don't believe that it should be a crime at all. So yeah, surprise sessions, you're not going to have an easy time if you decide to fight medical marijuana or adult use of marijuana.
Yeah, the tide is turning. I mean, back when I first met you, I was organizing a rally at my college in New England because I had been charged with the task of figuring out how to solve our environmental crisis at that time. And of course, I came across Jack Harar's book and ended up meeting him and deciding that I would do a rally. And then the organization that you were with at the time really helped out, sent people up, and just, it was, but people were really scared that they would be labeled as users if they came to the rally. And so things have really come a long way. People have learned so much over the past 25, 30 years about the reality of cannabis. And I myself have witnessed people go into, when I lived in California, I witnessed people go into hospice ready to die and be treated with cannabis and walk out of hospice. That was when I became convinced that the medical value of cannabis was very real. So definitely worth the fight.
Heck yeah. Well, unfortunately, there still is a lot of stigma attached to marijuana use, even medical marijuana use. And even here in California, where we've had medical marijuana legal for 20 years now, we don't have the right to work. So you can still be drug tested at work for medical marijuana. You can be using it under doctor's orders, secured it legally from your local dispensary. And if you're drug tested and found positive with it in your system, even if you're not inebriated, even if you consumed last week ago, your employer can terminate you for nothing more than, what they call internal possession of cannabis. So you used it sometime in the past. We don't have the right to work. It's a big problem. And that's why people still stay very quiet. And we always find that at our dispensary, we'd love to just take photos and snap everything and show the whole world. But we still have to protect the privacy of our members because their family might not know they use marijuana. Their children might not know. Their employers might not know. And, there still can be a big fallout when people find out that you use medical marijuana.
It's huge, yeah. And even places like, Lowe's or Home Depot, they
Safeway.
test people.
Why are you drug testing? It's ridiculous. And in fact, at Magnolia, the dispensary that I run, Magnolia Wellness of Oakland, our staff are members of UFCW, the big union, United Food and Commercial Workers, and they represent Safeway drug tests. So even our own union supports companies that drug test, and we have found it still impossible to fight from within to get rid of that horrible, old, outdated policy, saying that if somebody uses cannabis, they don't have a right to be employed. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with competence whatsoever. So they're actually weeding out a lot of highly competent people who have actually made a very smart decision to use cannabis as medicine instead of other legal, highly toxic medicines that are available for you. I'm sure in California you could even be in pain management still. For serious pain-related diseases and test positive for cannabis and be thrown out of their system.
Absolutely. Yes. Prescription medicines that are far more toxic, create a far higher level of intoxication, really do disrupt your ability to perform. Yes, those are fine in the workplace. Of course, jobs want you to, you can't come to the workplace if you're on prescription medication, if you're a forklift driver, you can't drive the forklift. Inebriation should really be the way we do it. It shouldn't be based on what you're prescribed or recommended by your doctor. If you're inebriated and you can't perform the job, well, you certainly should stay home for the day. It has nothing to do with cannabis use at all.
Right. Yeah, it's
Well, in
about the
our
stigma.
workplace, for example, we run a medical marijuana dispensary. Our staff members are not allowed to consume medical marijuana and come to the job. Our workers' comp policy doesn't allow it. They can't leave on their break and consume marijuana and come back to work. Or we could lose our workers' compensation policy if workers' comp found out about it. So we still have to wait for things like insurance policies, the laws, attitudes. Everything has to shift. I thought it would shift faster. Well, in some ways I didn't. When we were younger and doing those rallies and stuff like that, I just thought, well, maybe we're never going to legalize it. This thing is runs so deep in our society, prohibition and this sort of fear of the unknown and fear of altering consciousness. And what's the big fear? What do they think we're going to find if we change our consciousness? But I thought maybe we're not going to legalize it. And now here we are 25, 30 years later. Okay, we're going to legalize it, but we still have such a hard road in front of us. It's unbelievable how much time it's going to take to change how people think about marijuana. Of course, prohibition's been in place for 100 years. Is it going to take us 100 years to get rid of it? It might. Here we are 30 years into my particular fight with it. And I know that people started organizing to change the law so long ago. We know in the 60s there was active movements. We know in the 30s and 40s people were still making music about marijuana, using it to inspire artistic endeavors, creativity. And then, in the 70s, that's when we really started fighting back in an organized way. So how much longer is it going to take? Is it another 25, 30 years? What? I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. And in the beginning, I thought, well, that activists didn't do their job. They didn't stay on it. But now I see just how much money is in keeping the truth out there, keeping the truth from getting out there, and keeping marijuana laws insane. Because if you think about it, the psychopaths in charge are making so much money off of it. We have a so-called criminal justice system that is making money hand over fist off of marijuana users. It's insane. They're stealing their homes. They're taking their kids away for a plant that's in the history of humanity has never harmed anyone, ever. And so the fact that can be in place for so long, unquestioned. Sorry, folks. Mercury retrograde. You back?
I think I hung up on you when I was trying to mute my dog.
Okay, no problem. So the fact that this insane system has been in place for so long, it really is another giant finger pointing to the elephant in the room, which is the moneyed interests that want to keep it in place, and so many different moneyed interests,
right.
not just the police, private prisons, but
and just the desire of society to toe the line, right? Everybody needs to get inside the box, walk on the right side if you're going that direction, on the left side if you're going this direction, stand to the side on the escalators, say please and thank you, have a job that, we planned for you since you were born. Everything is kind of when you use substances like marijuana, you start to think outside the box. And so it's always been my opinion that our government understands that cannabis and other psychotropic substances encourage creativity, and suddenly we're outside the box. And you can actually never get us back in the box once we go outside the box, because it's more colorful, it's more exciting. There's a lot of fun things happening out here. So, you got to think that keeping cannabis illegal and stopping access to pure and safe psychedelic substances, for example, it's a way of controlling the population. It's too late. The toothpaste is out of the container. We're all using cannabis now. We love it. It's helping us feel better. It's making us more creative and productive. I don't think they're going to get prohibition to stick again.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but it is really, really frustrating to see that the truth is out there, but yet we still have this long road. And then you always hear, well, more studies are needed. No. First of all, more studies are not needed. And second of all, then start some studies.
Right. Well, I know this researcher, he's from the Netherlands. He works at I'm not sure if he's still there, but he used to work at the University of Leidseplein, or wait, what's it called? In the Netherlands, one of these big important universities. And he did a study of studies, because he had heard that too, right? No studies about marijuana. So he actually looked at the research and found that not only are there studies, there's more than 10,000 studies. And in fact, cannabis is the most studied plant on the planet. So even that is just such a lie. We have so much information about marijuana. And imagine if we hadn't been constrained, because that's under constraint, right? If we had it,
Right.
What really makes me mad is when I think about my friends who might not have suffered so bad with cancer, or the fact that maybe we could cure cancer, or the fact watching the children who've been suffering so drastically with seizure disorders, and the fact that just using a little bit of cannabis can stop a seizure. That's what really upsets me, is that prohibition has led to so much suffering, not just people being arrested and families being destroyed, which is huge, but the fact that we haven't used cannabis, this helpful medical herb, in order to save lives and make people's experience when they're actually suffering more pleasant. It just breaks my heart when I think about that. I got involved in medical cannabis because my best friend got breast cancer, and she died. It was very bad. The cancer is just rotten, awful, worse than prohibition. And
Right.
when she was dying, they were giving her all kinds of morphine, final stages of breast cancer. The tumors were just so bad, and it had spread to her bones. So she was using marijuana to control the pain, but what she found was the side effect of she felt like she had her soul again. So she needed it in order to feel human, in order to feel a connection, in order to experience any kind of dignity in life as she was going through her final transition. And man, that's when I realized, are you kidding me? Not only can cannabis ease the pain, but it's going to help her tolerate and come to terms with the last period of her life. Oh, it's just heartbreaking to realize how people were suffering from prohibition.
Right. Yeah, it breaks my heart too. And I've had many family members that have gotten cancer, friends, and that wouldn't even consider it. And I was like, look, you're dying. Like, be kind to yourself. Do what you need to do. And some people don't even believe that it's going to help, or they're just too scared. And, I can understand that. But, like I said, I witnessed those hospice situations where the quality of people's lives who were definitely dying got better. And there were people who were able to exit, not the traditional way,
right,
by dying, but actually like walking out. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. My buddy just used marijuana as adjunct therapy to chemotherapy for stage 4 lung cancer, and her tumor's gone. And marijuana in combination with chemotherapy, which is very hard to survive on its own. If the cancer doesn't get you, the chemo might. When you combine it with marijuana, you can tolerate the chemotherapy and you're shrinking the tumors at the same time. It's insane that this stuff isn't legal and people can't get it as a part of a normal protocol of fighting cancer and tolerating the treatments. It's just absurd.
And it's part of a bigger picture in our medical establishment. Really isn't designed for good outcomes. And this is part of it. You can go to pain management and say, hey, look, I want, even in states where medical marijuana is legal, you can say, hey, I really don't want to take these really toxic pain medicines, these opioids that are highly addictive, physically addictive. Mm-hmm. I would like to try something else. I mean, and opioids shut down your whole gut. So, and a lot of our chronic diseases that we have now are due to the fact that our guts aren't working properly. So the whole treatment system for arthritis, fibromyalgia, all of these types of illnesses that people are getting in droves now, the treatment actually makes it worse. Ask a doctor, hey, how would I do on medical marijuana? And they would tell you, you probably do really, really good, but it's against the law, so I can't prescribe it to you. Or I'm in a state where it's legal, I'm afraid to get my license pulled, or I'm afraid of the stigma of being a doctor that prescribes marijuana. I'm afraid of the feds. There's all that. So the entire system is designed to fail. It's not even designed for good outcomes, because we're slaves to laws that are put in place to make corporations money instead of make people healthier. and live better lives.
Yeah, it's true. Well, that's why we keep pushing. It's a hard struggle, but it's highly worthwhile. I think a study, was it yesterday? I was reading that, there's some well, there's not just anecdotal info. In Ohio, a professor at the University of Ohio, Dr. Wenk, studied marijuana and found that a puff of marijuana a day can prevent Alzheimer's. And so there's been a lot more research into that particular topic. And what they're finding out right now is sort of the baby boomers, the people who were in the 60s and 70s and using marijuana, and they've kind of casually used it ever since, that there's evidence showing that entire population of people are getting Alzheimer's just so much less than the generation before them that, had no access and just thought marijuana was the demon weed. So, this thing is a real medicine. So we got to keep fighting this fight, that's for sure. And Sessions and, the change of the AG, I don't know what's going to happen. Is he going to start busting into medical marijuana states or adult use states and raiding dispensaries or closing down adult use facilities? I think it's a possibility. I've run across the DEA on a couple of occasions in my work. It's kind of a hazard. They show up, suddenly you're talking to a DEA agent. And I was subpoenaed once, and it was by the DEA, and I fought the subpoena and it ended up going very well. But I asked the agent, what are you doing? That you seem nice. Why are you doing this? It makes no sense to me. You're part of the marijuana task force here out of San Francisco. Well, this guy told me this. I joined the DEA because I wanted to fight crime. There's hard drugs out there. It's a big mess. I wanted to do that. But when I had my baby, suddenly I realized that those guys had guns, and if I switched over to the marijuana division, I wouldn't have that same threat. And now that I have a kid, now I bust marijuana users. Are you kidding me?
Wow.
You're kidding me, right? You're right. So I ran into this guy at another protest outside of Oaksterdam when the DEA shut down Oaksterdam, the Department of Justice shut down Oaksterdam. Raided Oaksterdam. Of course, it reopened right afterwards. But at that rate, I saw the guy, and I was like, well, are you guys ever going to stop? I mean, this makes no sense. And again, what are you doing here? You're a normal person. This isn't right. And he pointed to his cohorts and he said, don't you see how much fun they're having? They love this stuff. They love it. This is what they live for. He basically told me, don't think that we're going to apply intelligence or logic to this thing. We like busting potheads. So you got to think that Sessions is, he's powered up with a bunch of guys in the DEA. They like this. It's easy work. They get to put on their flak jackets and go out with all their big weapons, and they don't want to stop. So I don't know how we're going to end prohibition other than continuing to change the laws. And then we got to hope that the marijuana industry doesn't become the new pharmaceutical industry with no values, not trying to save the earth, not trying to help people, just trying to market for a buck. And so that's kind of our new fight right now is a fight to make sure that the marijuana industry stays socially responsible, that we still care about the earth and that we're here for the people. And it's the balance, it's a problem. There's a lot of outsiders coming in. There's people from big pharmacy coming in. There's people from big alcohol coming in, and they all want a piece of the action. And because their jobs are falling away, people want to use marijuana, not alcohol. So the alcohol industry's got to start, not everyone, but I think the latest study said 25% of alcohol users were considering just shifting away and using marijuana. I mean, that's big dollars coming out of the bottom end of the alcohol industry. And when they come into our industry, they're just applying the same techniques they use in alcohol. Let's just get people drinking and make money. So that's not the marijuana industry that you and I've been a part of this whole time. It's a movement to save the earth, to be nice to people, to be compassionate, to help other people, to share, to be kind, to be tolerant. So as we're fighting prohibition and trying to legalize it, we're also fighting for our same values, which is kind of surprising for me. I never thought we'd get here. I thought it would all happen at once, right? We legalized marijuana and there'd be this kind of a shift in thinking and a national enlightenment. No, not at all.
Right.
More so, we still have to fight for that. We have to fight for social justice, and legalizing marijuana is not going to be a panacea to make people more open-minded and more compassionate. We have to still promote those values through our companies And by our spending, we're going to go out and buy marijuana. Go somewhere socially responsible that gives back to people, that cares about you. Don't go to, the Budweiser of marijuana to get your marijuana. So we're going to have to teach people to kind of look out for fake news, look out for fake dispensaries, go to the ones that actually care about you.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting that you bring up fake news, because one of the things that I noticed a couple years ago in sort of the darker corners of the alt-right was this idea that that everything's flipped on its head now, and there'll be GMO weed right around the corner, and they're just trying to take over your mind with this crazy weed stuff. And it was like 1940s all over again, reading some of these things that people actually believe. But yet they're out there sort of promoting themselves as the alternative to the crazy system in place, but yet they're part of it. Right. And their arguments are all the same. They make not factual arguments, not medical arguments, not scientific arguments, but they make arguments about people's cultural values or people's opinion about marijuana culture, or the stereotype about marijuana culture and people involved in marijuana culture. So that's their whole argument, which is, well, it can get out of hand just like any other drug. Well, it's not physically addictive. Let's go back to the facts. And the people who argue against it always go to the cultural arguments rather than, the scientific facts, the medical facts, the historical facts. I've noticed that's the MO that they use, and branding people. Like if you're a person who's arguing for this, then you must be a pothead, which is not necessarily the case for people who just really want to see a reasonable drug laws. For instance, it really shouldn't be a so-called criminal justice issue. Any type of drug use or drug abuse is a public health issue, and it shouldn't even involve the cops ever for any reason. That's insane.
Right. It's ridiculous to think that the cops are helping people with drug habits. I mean, if you look at the research and what really helps, it's people choosing to do something different, and people go in and out of addictive behaviors or even in and out of addictions without help, without the police, without drug rehab. That's just the way people do it. So yeah, this idea that we can regulate consciousness, or we could regulate the way people act or the way people think, it's just ridiculous. We have to get away from that. We have to start thinking about, how do we empower people to use their freedoms for good? How do we empower people to be compassionate? It's just so weird to me that we legalized marijuana in California the same night we elected Trump. That's that's the opposite land right there. It's really hard to reconcile. And then you kind of got to think, why did this happen? Being spiritual and believing that the earth kind of does what needs to be done for, it happens, things happen for a reason, then we have to realize that we miscalculated the work we have in front of us. We thought this was just going to be rosy, and that we were just going to, be smelling the roses along the way. We'd get.
Were you high? No.
Right? No. What we found is that we miscalculated, that America is much different than we imagined, than the marijuana progressives imagined. Right. That we have so much work that we have to do, that we can't just sit around and be complacent. There's no way we can just start thinking about how to set up businesses to make money. We have to be thinking about, how are we going to make money to improve our communities, to help educate people to vote, how important it is to use your vote, to run candidates for office that care about the environment. It's a whole different picture than we imagined before this November.
Yeah. Well, the silver lining about Trump that I've been saying is that at least now the veil is lifted, because there's no front to him at all. Like, he's just all, this is what I am, and it's just right there in your face. Right. Now that he's in there. But people fell for this stuff. I don't know why anybody falls for what any politician would say. And I really, truly believe that our strongest power is at the local level in terms of political power, because these are people who live in our communities. These are people who really, truly have to answer to us. And when it gets to these bigger type of elections, I mean, Bernie could have won, and the psychopaths in charge said, nah, he's not even going to run. So they let Hillary steal that from him because they wanted Trump to win. They wanted him in there. So, yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Welcome to our world. Well, today I was in Berkeley, and I was just driving past City Hall over there. They've got this park, Martin Luther King Park, Junior Park, Peace Park, has a couple different names. But apparently there was a pro-Trump rally happening there. Of course, these pro-Trump people come to the middle of Berkeley just to start trouble. Why would you have a pro-Trump rally, tax day rally? They called it a freedom of speech rally. Are you kidding me? And they put it right in the middle of Berkeley. Well, I didn't see any of those Trump people. I just saw the angry protesters surrounding the Trumpsters, I guess, and it was scary, to be honest, and a lot of people dressed in black clothes with black bandanas covering their face. And as I was going by, there was 2 explosions. What is going on when this type of stuff is happening in our streets? So I don't know, just it's weird times for sure. I've been unsettled ever since the moment that the election night, legalized marijuana, elect Trump in the same day. I have not felt right since. It's a lot for any human to take in. The work in front of us is enormous. And it's hard, if you're thinking, it's hard not to be really concerned about what's happening in our nation right now. So I just hope that we can keep the momentum, at least for the progressive marijuana movement, that we can continue forward with our values, and that as we make money and we change prohibition, we can make industry, that people continue to invest their profit into making a better world for all of us. And so the marijuana movement really has to be a social and cultural movement, as well as a movement to end prohibition, because there's a much bigger set of values that we have to keep our eye on, and that we have to promote ourselves. Because it doesn't seem like evolution's not seeming to make people nicer, kinder, more tolerant, or compassionate. That work we still have a long way to go to get that work done. So let's hope that we can take the marijuana money and continue to invest it in our future.
Right, and invest it into compassionate systems, systems that benefit people and families, systems that are unplugged from the war machine that we don't want to, that we're forced to pay for. How
about also we make fair businesses? How about we not follow that same old capitalist model where the person who owns the business ends up in a palace and the workers, live 3-4 to a bedroom? I was talking to a potential funder the other day who was telling me, look, we'll make this business. We can, and of course I'm in his mansion at the time and heard about his butler and stuff. This is how we do it. We pay the employees $12 an hour. And because they'll be young, right? They can share bedrooms. They'll have bunk beds. They can stack up, 2, 3, 4 in a bedroom. And I'm just thinking like this. Well, no, you know what I mean? I can't think like that. That to me that's wrong thinking. Those are the wrong values. That's not okay with me. We can't let American society continue to be like that. And as we make a multi-billion-dollar marijuana industry, what can we do as sort of leaders and thinkers and advisors in that community? How can we help company owners understand we actually don't have to do that? We don't have to do that. That's not right. That's not good for America. It's not good to have one wealthy guy and 4 people stacked in one bedroom. That's not fair. That doesn't make a good society. That doesn't make equity. That doesn't make our communities comfortable. That doesn't make our children safe. So we got to really think as we make this billion-dollar industry, we have to change the value set of what big business means when it comes to marijuana. And we envisioned with Jack Herrera, and back in the day when we were doing Cannabis Action Network, all those rallies, traveling around, talking to people about the need to end cannabis prohibition, it was always with the idea of for compassion, for creativity, for progressive thoughts, for kindness, for tolerance, for sharing. It wasn't for money. Money, yes, so that we can promote tolerance and caring and sharing and community, and so that we can give free services. And so we can start making up some of these problems that the social norms that we have existing around us have created right now, where people can't, afford adjunct therapies like acupuncture or massage. Well, if you can give those away for free at your marijuana business, suddenly people who had no access can have access. So we've got our work cut out for us, that's for sure. And we have to think multidimensional. We have to think about creating socially responsible businesses that give back. The new marijuana billion-dollar industry needs to have its basis in social responsibility.
Absolutely. And I certainly witnessed that years ago when I lived in California, the way that Berkeley Patients Group was giving away these modalities. I did Reiki on people who were getting medical marijuana, and one of the things that I noticed was that because people were using cannabis, they were already relaxed at the point that I get people in a session, like during the first half hour. So people were already relaxed to that 30-minute point in an hour-long Reiki session.
Right. And
so we were able to do just like half-hour sessions with people and help more people because they were high, they were using cannabis, so they were already relaxed and ready to get all that good Reiki modality done on them. And that was an amazing experience for me. I was taught never to use it when you're actually doing Reiki, but I could still feel where that person was at because they were on it, and because it's such an intimate modality when you're hands-on working with people. And I saw a lot of people who were very much helped with very serious illnesses that really were helped greatly by that system that you're talking about, where it's about compassion and it's about filling a need, because there is a void. There's a huge void, and people are suffering so much needlessly as well.
Yeah, well, as you know, also people are isolated. They don't have community. Some people don't get out of their house. Some people never have anybody to say a friendly hello to them. They don't have a group of friends that they can come and chat and have coffee with. And if our dispensaries or our marijuana facilities are places where people can gather, where they're treated nicely, where somebody who really actually cares about them looks them in the eye, asks them how their day is going, is cheerful and uplifting, that's essential. So that's one of the things we did with Berkeley Patients Group when I was running that place. And now it's the same thing we do at Magnolia Wellness of Oakland, is we have a community center, free coffee every day, tea, social services, free sample booths. You want to try out the latest vape pen company samples, come down, because we've got the on-site permit and you can take a taste of the cannabis. You don't know which chocolate you might like. We'll come to the day that we do chocolate sampling so that you can test out the different products. And while you're there, you're going to be treated with dignity. It's going to be fun. You're going to leave feeling special. At Magnolia, we're the home of the 1 second greeting. When you walk in the door, you're treated well right from the very first moment you step over the through the door, because people deserve good treatment in our world. And if we can just bring joy and happiness by doing nothing more than really caring when we say hello, it's so good to see you. I mean, it's incredible the impact it can make on people. So, and it's funny to me that we make our way at Magnolia by being nice, and how often people comment on, "Oh, you people are so nice," as if it's a surprise that people would be nice, or because they're not used to getting that kind of treatment in regular retail, or say in a bar, or even in a restaurant, where the bottom line is important. You have to move through, make the sales. In the dispensary world, compassion. If you lead with compassion, you're going to make the sale, but you're also going to make people feel better or help them feel better. And when they leave, they're going to feel inspired. And who knows what kind of creativity that you're inspiring on the other end, as they pay forward the good treatment that they received at your collective. So it's a really incredible opportunity for us as social justice activists to create marijuana businesses and to use the profit for good. And if we can promote that idea, not only to the people in the industry, but to people who are shopping, go to a place that promotes social good. Let's spend our money making a better society. Let's make sure that that we don't accidentally end up going to places like, what's that new Budweiser beer? It's been around a few years, the Blue Moon, that looks like it's small batch beer, but it's actually Budweiser. Let's be discriminating, and let's choose where we get our cannabis based on how much do they give back to society. Is their bottom line compassion, tolerance, caring, and sharing? Or is their bottom line no different than Budweiser? How much money can we get, and what kind of palaces can we buy for our owners? And I think that it's the users that are going to make a big difference now. Spend your money to do social good, and be discriminating on where you go. I mean, luckily in a place like the East Bay here, Oakland, Berkeley, everywhere you go is great. There's no dispensary in the East Bay at all that isn't doing anything except trying to make a better society and trying to work to further the cause of legalization. I don't know if it's like that everywhere, but I know in the part of the industry that I'm around, it's incredible. And I'm very excited to be working with such forward-thinking people. Of course, come to Magnolia, hands down, I think we're the best. We have a full-time RN on staff. She's there Monday through Thursday. You can always talk to somebody about your medical need. We've got classes and courses every day. We're actually encouraging marijuana entrepreneurship at Magnolia by running how to start and run a marijuana business seminars. We just finished a 15-week seminar. We had our graduation was the first week of this month, and we start all over again in May. Tuesday nights, you can come to the beginner classes every Tuesday from 6 to 8. We start with how to choose your founding partners and create a good board. The next class is how to incorporate your company. The next class, how to write your business plan, how to fund your company, everything you need week by week with experts coming in to teach you the skills that you need that are just essential. We missed out on going to Harvard Business School. You know what I mean? Now we got to shore up our own skills because we're competing with people that went to Wharton and Harvard and have been in the pharmaceutical industry. We need our skills. So at Magnolia, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We want to build strong cannabis entrepreneurs who understand the importance of social responsibility. So you want to learn, you come down, we're teaching you for free. On Saturdays, every Sunday starting in May for 15 weeks. So starting in May for 15 weeks on Tuesday evenings, you can take the beginner classes every Tuesday, 6 to 8. And then our first graduating class, which was a Sunday class, we're moving that to a 200 level class. So on Sundays, you'll be able to come into Magnolia from 10 to 12 and get even more detailed, specific information on how to run cannabis businesses and more about the cannabis industry and just industry in general. So we are teaching people to be cannabis business entrepreneurs and helping create the vision of social responsibility in the industry.
That's absolutely incredible. I'm very impressed, and I saw some of the things that you were doing firsthand at Berkeley Patients Group, and one of the things I noticed was that the patients that were coming in, the vast majority of them were like over 40. A lot of them were over 50. So a lot of people say, oh, it's just a bunch of kids who are trying to, get high. Not really. It was a lot of people in pain who were greatly helped by that. That's what I witnessed, and I'm just so impressed with what you're doing now, helping people start their own businesses, and really in a socially conscious way. And I think it probably is a danger for these for the pharmaceutical industry to take over this thing. And in some ways, I feel like that's what they're waiting for, getting all of their ducks in a row to where they can take over the marijuana industry once it's legalized. And that's what the holdup is. Big Pharma hasn't rubber stamped it yet and said we have our ducks in a row. That's what my conspiracy mind is really thinking.
Yeah, I wrote a book too. It's coming out in June 13th. It hits the shelves. You can pre-order on Amazon right now. I wrote an Idiot's Guide, one of those Idiot's Guide series. It's how to start and run a cannabis business. So pretty soon for awesome. $21 plus tax, you can get all of my best ideas. And not only mine, I wanted to write the best business book for our people that I could. So I brought in my friends who have incredible talents to help me write specific chapters. So you're going to get such a wealth of information, and actually handheld from start to finish. The classes that we teach at Magnolia are based on the book, just start to finish, right? Chapter 1, you got to know the history of where we came from. Chapter 2, you got to know how to fight prohibition. Chapter 3, you got to know we're building socially responsible businesses. Chapter 4, now here's how you do it. And then we handheld all the way through forming your company right to the moment you open your doors. So that is going to be available. I think that's going to be a big asset to people out there who want to start small cannabis businesses. We have cottage industry licenses here in California coming available. You'll be able to make a small marijuana business, run it from your home, making edibles, and sell it to people in the industry. So anybody who wants to get involved should have a chance to get involved, at least in California. Now let's make sure we make smart businesses. So the more step-by-step information we can get out to people, the better. So my general manager, who's now our project manager at Magnolia Wellness, helped me write the book, along with a couple of other really great people, the investing in cannabis people who have interviewed by now about 60 founders of cannabis businesses. They helped me with the book. Green Rush Consulting, who help people get their permits across the U.S. in these highly competitive markets. They helped me write the book. Dave McCulloch, who ran Sonoma Patients Group for almost a dozen years and helps me run Magnolia Wellness, helped write the book. It is a wealth of information. I can't wait for people to start getting hold of that and having the tools that they need so that they don't have to learn everything from scratch or make mistakes. It's really step by step how to start and run a business.
And it's 30 years of trial and error. So well worth the $21.
Yes.
Check it out. I'm going to get it for sure.
Nice.
And then I'll want to move back to California. For sure. Yeah, this is amazing. And I pray every day and hope that people just get their heads on straight about this, and that things change very soon for the whole country, not just liberal pockets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, where I live, the most popular bumper sticker is "deplorable and proud of it." So.
Oh, joy.
Yeah. So that kind of gives a little insight on where I'm at, but other than that, it's a gorgeous, beautiful place to live.
Yeah.
Yep. So any other things? We got about 6 minutes here. Any other info? You got the book coming out, Magnolia. You got the classes going on.
Getting ready to open a new dispensary in Berkeley. I'm very excited about this. I was lucky to team up with the guys who run Amoeba Music, the world's best alternative independent music store. And we got a permit in Berkeley to put a dispensary at the location of Amoeba Music. So we're kind of scooting the records to one side and putting up a wall in between the two for now until adult legalization. Maybe we can take that wall down. And we are pairing music and marijuana, which always should be paired whenever you can, right, in a dispensary setting. Music heals. I don't have to tell anybody listening that music heals, and combining music and marijuana is such an incredible feeling in your body. It relaxes you, it energizes you, makes you feel better. So we are planning an incredible project at Amoeba Music, and that should be opening. It's maybe 4 months from now, 3-4 months from now. We're doing the build out right this moment. So I am so excited about that project.
Wow.
Can't wait. And
I'm impressed.
At Magnolia, we managed to get a permit for a marijuana restaurant, an infused restaurant. And we took over the restaurant next door to our facility. And we're building out a cannabis cafe and marijuana infused restaurant right now. So in that same 4 months, we hope to be opening that. We got a license for a dab bar. So we'll have a bar much like an alcohol bar, except you'll be served by a bud tender who will help you choose the right marijuana for you, and you'll be able to consume it right on the spot. Of course, it does a couple things. We're going to help people see how normal it is to consume marijuana. We don't consume marijuana and go crazy. We consume marijuana and behave. We might giggle, but that's the extent of it. So we're going to be teaching people for the first time what it looks like to use marijuana responsibly in public. And also we're going to be helping people who maybe are new to the experience use cannabis for the first time, but observed and assisted by a peer counselor who can actually help them consume the cannabis. So marijuana infused restaurant coming soon, Dispensary at Amoeba Music coming soon, and book coming soon. Farmers market this weekend. A lot of stuff happening. You know, I'm pushy. You probably know this. We like to be the first, so we're doing first. We're first all the time at this point. You know, first outdoor licensed marijuana farmers market, first dab bar in America, first insurance policy so that if somebody consumes marijuana at our facility, drives and has an accident, God forbid should that ever happen, we got a insurance policy just like a bar so that we can be covered for that insurance. Never been done before. We had to talk the insurance industry into doing it for the very first time. We have so many opportunities to create our dreams right now. If we just open our minds, think about it, and act responsibly and go fill our dreams. So that's what we're up to right now.
Wow. Debby Goldsberry, you are amazing. I am so lucky to know you, and I'm so proud of what you're doing. And I'm totally behind you guys, 100%. Freedom, free the weed, help people out, make them feel better. The other thing is that this community it's real in these dispensaries. I witnessed people get checked on who had, terminal illnesses. So this community is formed, and people who normally really don't want to go to social services for those kind of things, they have friends now that come and check on them and make sure they're okay, that they have enough medicine. If they notice they haven't been out to the club lately, they get checked on. So it is about compassion and this incredible creativity that you have, totally outside the box. We're going to do this first. We're going to do that first. When I tell people, about this farmer's market and all the things, they're just like, wow, especially out here on the East Coast, they're like, wow, it's not even possible in some people's brains, and you're doing it. Not only is it possible, but you're doing it.
Fun. So, I like it.
Yep. It's wonderful. We got 2 more minutes left. I'm really happy that you're able to come on and talk to me. It's been a long time since we had a conversation, and hopefully I'll be able to come out and visit you soon and see what you're doing.
That'd be great. Anytime. And thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Yeah, I did try to get in touch with our old friend LV Musica, and I just have to keep calling her back. So, and I'll get her eventually. Great. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, LV was the first woman in America to get medical marijuana for her glaucoma, and she got it from the federal government. And she's been involved in the marijuana scene for a long time, and I met her through you.
Yay. LV used to go on the road with us for Cannabis Action Network. We put her in a van with a bunch of people. We just go everywhere.
She's an amazing woman. Thank you so much, Debby.
All right, thanks for having me. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.